A wide cross-section of British Muslims attended this launch of the Muslim Manifesto consultation process. The organisers say it's both a call to action and a set of straightforward and inclusive policy recommendations pinpointing key issues of high importance to the Muslim community. The manifesto agenda addresses community stakeholders and all politicians in local councils and parliament who IMCD hope will pledge to back it in the forthcoming UK general election on the 7th of May this year.
I'm very proud of the fact that the hard work that has been put in, hopefully that will awaken Muslims, hopefully that will raise the awareness, hopefully it will generate a debate for people to register for votes, and then more importantly, when they have them, but you see, almost all Muslims feel this, but they don't know what to say. Here you got a manifesto with 33 points so far, it might increase to 50. People will have their own questions.
Currently, Muslim communities lag way behind other religious and ethnic groups in many areas, including academic attainment, employment, household wealth, health and well-being, and crime. But it's this very adversity which may now give Muslim communities a common purpose.
A Muslim community per se has been in the shadow of the debate on race relations, and then of course the whole onset or onslaught post Rushdie and 9/11. So I think for us the issues were different to the issues that are befalling our children's generation. It is very important that they do not view England as a separate entity. They do not view England as a stranger. They view England as home, and they have their birthright, if you like, to making sure that it's fair and is just.
The Muslim population is estimated to be between 3 and 4 million and makes up a substantial proportion of Britain's population. Most significantly, it holds the swing vote in over 40 constituencies. However, emerging activists argue Muslims have lacked a clear political agenda in the past, and the Muslim Manifesto intends to change this, with its focus on civil rights, equality and justice for Muslims and their neighbours.
We believe that that this movement could actually replicate many of the international movements, but certainly it's a sort of a struggle for justice and struggle for equality and fairness for our communities, and that's what we will do.
With the general elections in Britain looming, Muslims have laid down a really serious test for parliamentarians who are coming for their votes. The Muslim Manifesto represents a document which enshrines what perhaps Muslims really need. The securitisation agenda has been the main thing that's been on the mind of certainly government over the last 10 to 15 years. But this manifesto touches on far more. Mohsin Abbas, Al-Ittija TV, London.
Well, our correspondent Mohsin Abbas now joins us live in our London studios. Mohsin, thank you very much for joining the bulletin. According to the report, it's the first comprehensive political strategy developed by British Muslims, as you said in the report. Now, why has it taken so long to achieve?
Muslims have been caught in a cycle of reactionary behaviour, usually led by agendas which are rolled out by all sorts of forces, government perhaps involved within that as well, FGM, forced marriages, all these sort of issues around the veil, the issues around halal slaughter. They've kept Muslims off balance, and I think they get Muslims riled up, and there's this tendency to firefight or crisis manage constantly. This is the first occasion that the Muslims seem to be actually looking 5 years, 10 years, 30 years ahead to say what actually is the dream or the vision of Muslims in the long run living here in Britain.
And how significant is the manifesto on the upcoming general elections?
I think the issues it raises are very important. They go to the heart of what Muslims really have problems with, and they are poverty issues, unemployment issues, educational attainment, several things which are just basic bread and butter, which people would presume in the West that they would have sealed by now. But the truth is Muslims are well behind on all of these areas in terms of really achieving. And I think for politicians and parliamentarians, getting the emphasis away from just securitization and actually looking at the real issues of Muslims is what this manifesto is likely to do. But also, I think more importantly, Muslims have something ethical potentially to offer Britain. The politics of Britain, as we've heard with the Malcolm Rifkin story and Jack Straw and all sorts of other things, it's rife with an immoral stench, which actually the British public is very, very aware of. And Muslims, with this manifesto, definitely are coming up with a very ethical appraisal and saying, actually, we stand for morality, we stand for ethics, not just for the Muslim communities here, but also for those other downtrodden people within the society.
And how soon do you expect to see these changes implemented, Mohsin?
I think this is a 5 to 10 year game. To be honest with you, nothing's going to change overnight. I think the idea of Muslims actually understanding, first of all, who they are, what their challenges are, and how they're going to tackle the problems that are immediately there, those are still going to be the priority. But at the same time, getting the British public to understand that Muslims aren't just people who are a stereotypical bunch of ISIS-supporting terrorists, that's, of course, a major issue. And to humanize the Muslim story and the Muslim narrative in Britain, I think unless you start getting this proactive agenda, you wouldn't see the wider improvement. So I think it's a long-term game, but certainly Muslims have made a very positive start with laying out their stall on what they want in terms of commitments from their parliamentarians.
Right. Mohsin, you did mention priorities. I mean, some would say that we should target the media to portray Muslims unbiasedly. Would you think that targeting the media or political participation would be the priority for you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the clauses within this 33 actually deals with the hate crimes on media, which are constantly allowed to be perpetrated. And the call for legislation at all levels, Britain ultimately runs according to the rule of law. And if you can get things legislated, then people will behave themselves. It seems that the media definitely is one of the areas where a lot of bad behavior has gone on in terms of stereotyping and vilifying Muslims. So I think that's a very, very high priority on the list of Muslim demands. How far politicians are going to be willing to take this up remains a question that is going to be answered, obviously, only in the future.
And the British government, have they reacted to this manifesto?
So far, politicians have reacted very positively. They're very interested because it's the first time they're getting a comprehensive list of what Muslims want. So they're going to have to be interested, but the track record of establishment is this, that they'll either, if they don't like it, they'll either ignore it or they will try and find alternatives with people who are safer for them to deal with. Because the kind of people who are coming up here at the moment in this movement are grassroots, bottom-up individuals who normally don't necessarily get entertained by government. So this is a challenge for those middle agents that have been controlling Muslim agendas and actually have made a hash of things.
We're just going to have to leave it there. Our correspondent Mohsin Abbas, who joins us from our studios in London, thank you very much for your time.